This is the chuck box that I built recently. The plans came from REI, and those were very helpful. The plans actually came with a cut sheet, so what I did was I just took the cut sheet down to my lumber yard, and they cut a 4x8 sheet of plywood for me. And all I had to do really was just assemble it and then make modifications. But if you go to the REI website, actually, there you'll be able to find the plans and the cut sheet. So I just wanted to go through a couple things in terms of what I've done to it. So essentially, it's a piece of plywood 4x8, and I just got I bought, it was about $25–30, and there's one good side on it. So what I ended up doing is, as I mentioned, they cut it up for me, and I stained it sort of a black with a black water-based stain, and then I covered it with a polyurethane, water-based polyurethane, and then I sanded it all down after it dried with a about 400 grit sandpaper, which made a really nice smooth finish. It's hard to tell in the video, but you can actually see the wood grain coming through, so it's not like a black paint. And so it's quite a nice finish. Make sure that when you're assembling it, of course, this is referred to in the REI instructions. Just make sure you have a square and that you square up everything, or things will be lopsided. So pay particular attention to that. I did make some modifications. I've added the handles here. These are just off a regular cabinet door, and I just found these kind of used at a local store that sells used hardware and that kind of stuff. So I use that, and then instead of putting the latches on the front, I actually put a latch here, and then I put a latch on this side, which holds this lid down. The reason I moved the latches is because I added this handle so that I can lift the lid. So I did that, which is a little bit of a modification there, but it's kind of a nice aesthetic and functional as well. So I've got the little latches here. The other thing that I did, I ordered these locking hinges off Amazon. There wasn't really anything at my local hardware store that would work for me, so these were like about $4 or $5, and are were really easy to install and lock the lid in place, as you can see. Okay. The other thing that I did was, well, I went ahead and ordered a new stove. Our stove was getting pretty old and kind of nasty. So this is quite a nice stove. It's a Camp Chef, and the model is Everest, the Mountain Series, and I think it was like $95, something like that. We do a lot of camping, so I figured it was a pretty good investment. And it's a really nice stove. I like it quite a bit. It's definitely more powerful than the Coleman, and it actually is it seems that it's much more well made than the Coleman. And so it's really solid. I like it. It's got the stainless steel base here, which should be pretty easy to clean. And so let me fire it up here. Okay. And that's pretty much full blast. All right. Here's the other one. All right, so that's the Camp Chef stove. What I did too was, this was referred to in the instructions, the REI instructions. I went ahead and actually ordered a flexible hose. This is a Stansport 30-inch flexible hose. It does fit on the Camp Chef stove. No problem there. So what I ended up doing was I just drilled a hole, you can see, and then ran the hose out. And I didn't want the propane inside the box, and really there was not enough room to do that, actually. So what I ended up doing was I just attached a couple 25-pound magnets to the side of the box, and the propane sits pretty securely there. Okay, so out of the way. Now I wouldn't move this box around with it configured this way, the propane is likely to slide off. And I'm still thinking of other options, other ways to do it. The hose that actually did come with the stove, the rigid pipe, that actually will fit as well, and it'll come out through the hole, and I can attach. So if I need a backup, here it is here. If I need a backup, I can just use the regulator and pipe that came with the actual stove, so I can use that. And it won't. You'd have to have something to support it when it comes out. It'll sort of support on its own, but I kind of wouldn't trust torquing this this valve. But at any rate, there's a backup there. So that is how I have that configured. The inside of the box is very similar to the way the instructions articulate it, and I added a couple magnets here to just secure the lid. And the other thing that I did, I hinges here. I think what I'm going to do, these hinges are much too light and they're not very sturdy. So what I'm going to do is actually just get a couple of other hinges that are a little bit more rigid. And so I added this chain here just to support the lid a little bit. And the other thing that I think that I'm going to do is, I've got kind of this old hiking stick, and what I've been doing actually is just supporting the lid with the hiking stick that way. And what I think I'm going to do is just add epoxy a little magnet to the end of it, and then just put a little washer on the lid, and then just so that I could put this on the edge of the picnic table, and have a space where I can kind of put a cutting board or what have you. Okay. So the next thing is, speaking of the magnets. So I've already used the magnets on the for the propane, but here's another little washer that I added to the front, and here's how what I have is a 2-inch magnet. It's a 25-pound magnet. It's probably way overkill, but these are what I had laying around. So, and ordered this LED bar, so that what I can do is just attach it to the magnet here, right, and stays up there. And then there's a little switch here. Okay, and then you can see that it lights up the stove. The other thing that's nice about this is that it has a little swivel, so I can kind of direct the light as needed. And on a similar note, I added a washer here on the inside. I think you can see it. And then here's a little magnetized light that I can just stick up here and light up the inside of the box that way. So I'll probably add a couple of those. Then it's nice, I can just sort of pull this off and use it to cook or whatever I need. I did adjust the dimensions a little bit. This is, I can't recall what I measured it to, but standard plates will fit in here. And then I'm looking for a little, utensil holder here, just a little something plastic that I can just slide in and use this sort of as a drawer. I might just build a drawer. And then this would easily hold, I think this is a 10-inch cast iron skillet. That sits in there quite nice. Then I'm going to be, what I'm looking for now is just drawers that will fit into this area here. The downside of this whole setup is it's fairly heavy. I haven't weighed it, but one person can lift it, but it's much easier with 2 people, but it is getting fairly heavy. So I'm thinking about, okay, how to keep the weight down a little bit. And that's really the idea there. So that is pretty much the chuck box that I built, courtesy of REI.